Attention, attention, stop what you're doing. Because we're coming back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh my God!
They went a little crazy with it, and I appreciate it.
Now let's get back with Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
There is a, there's not just desperation in Russia right now. There's not just desperation in China. China, so many people know, 我最喜欢中国的文化. I'm a big fan of Chinese culture. 我会说中文, I speak Chinese. And 我有很多的中国的朋友. I have a lot of Chinese friends. 我也很多的Taiwanese 的朋友. Taiwan 的朋友. I've got a lot of Taiwanese friends too. So it's culturally and personally that I have my love for the Chinese people. The government, not so much. And there's been this narrative on the right wing that, oh my God, Xi Jinping is eating Biden's lunch and China's going to eat our lunch as they grow as the biggest economy in the world and yada, yada, yada. And the strategy, and everybody's been talking about how they were going to overtake the U.S. economy. They're the second biggest in the world, and they're going to overtake the U.S. economy in 2024. Okay. That got revised this year because of the strength of the U.S. economy and our demographics and our industry to 2030 at the earliest, if ever. That's the first time since they've started making that prediction that they've added, Moody's and all these guys who make this prediction, they've added the phrase, if ever. They're in trouble. 3 of their biggest coal mines have flooded. They can't buy Australian coal because Xi Jinping is mad at Australia. So they buy it from India when Indian companies buy Australian coal, and then they sell it to China so that they can have the Australian coal, but without saying they got it. Like adults. Ah, God. Yeah, that's the sign of a healthy governing system and a healthy industry. Meanwhile, the Evergrande crisis, which I've talked about a little bit before, came to a head. I mean, like they missed multiple bond payments, and this is the largest real estate company in China. They own real estate is like 60%. It's 35% practical and 60% overall of the Chinese GDP internally, domestic GDP, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's like edging up to 2008 numbers. It's dumb. People own apartments that are unfinished where they have taken out equity loans to buy another apartment that's never been built. And they're never going to move into the apartment that's the second loan is based on because it's decaying. It has no walls. It's an empty building. It's with no glass in the building. There's no. It's the weirdest thing. Look up Chinese ghost cities if you want to have a good time. Sometimes it's bizarre, and it's been a terrible problem because it basically local the provinces and the big cities can. The only way they can raise money beyond taxes is land sales. So they do these 99-year lease sales, and then they lease it back to these shell companies, and then they take the money that they generated in that lease sale, and then they use it to buy more property that's layered on top of other property to fuse money in, and then the people take it and they buy property they can't afford. It's a Gordian knot, and it's awful. Anyways, Evergrande collapsed, and this, like in the last week, they have been ordered to demolish, I think it's 28 buildings in one group, one big chunk of buildings worth $1.9 billion. Just blow them up. Unfinished buildings on a man-made island that they built without permits that are all like the structures are done, but there's no glass. It's crazy. And they have to blow them all up. Yeah, can you imagine if at one point anywhere in the United States Like I think the biggest property problem in the United States is the Leaning Tower of San Francisco. There's a financial tower in San Francisco that was it's too big for the density of the ground below it, and it's leaning. So it's dangerous, and they're going to have to dismantle it. And they're just everybody's fiddling, trying to figure out how to do it. And you're going to have to just start doing it. You're going to have to scaffold it and start taking it. Otherwise, one earthquake and the thing's falling sideways. And it's going to take out 5 other buildings full of people. It can't be allowed. San Francisco, fix yourself. But no, it's not quite. It's the Financial Times building or something. I forget what the name of it is, but it's, Millennium Tower. Thank you. And it's a mess. It's ridiculous. And a lot of people bought, apartments in it. They're completely done. And they're like, I'm not going to live in that thing. Are you out of your mind? It's built on a clay foundation. So stupid. Yeah. So that building alone, the removal of that building is going to be expensive and dangerous and weird and a big mistake and yada, yada. Imagine if there were 28 of them and they had to implode all of them at once. And the U.S. government owned a 50 share in it. Imagine the political turmoil around that. Imagine the memes and the videos and the gotcha YouTubers punching at either side politically. And yeah, it's not empty, that tower. But, a bunch of people won't move in, but a bunch of people already have. It's very weird. But, I mean, it's like dozens of buildings. So, remind me again how they're going to eat our lunch and they're way ahead and yada, yada. Okay. Meanwhile, the seat of Chinese innovation and the beauty of Chinese culture almost exists entirely in Taiwan right now. Happily or sadly, at least it has a place to go. And the Chinese people in Taiwan are, as resilient and as smart and as focused and fun to be around as any other Chinese people in the world would want to be in their lives, as any other person would want to be in their lives, because they have the freedom to be so. They live in a democracy. Taiwan was like way ahead of us on gay marriage and stuff like that. It's a great government, really well functioning. They have a maglev train that actually works. I've ridden on it.
What train?
It's amazing. A maglev, a electric, a high-speed train.
Oh,
magnetic levitation.
Oh, neat.
Levitation, yeah. They and it's super fast. You don't even know you're moving until it's already moving. It's the weirdest thing. You're going 90 miles an hour and you look out the window and you're like,
and you don't get like an inner ear astronaut thing.
No, nothing. It's beautiful because it's this gliding way to do it. It's super fast, but it doesn't jerk at all because it's not an engine. The whole train moves at once. Anyways,
okay.
Lovely. And Taipei, Taichung, and Tainan, which are the 3 main cities that a lot of people know if you know Taiwan at all, is Tai North, Tai Middle, Tai South. Zhongguo is Middle Kingdom. Zhongguo is how Chinese people call China. That means middle. So Taichung is in the middle. And Taipei is like we used to think of Beijing as Peking because of pronunciation. That's where that gets its name. Tainan is the south. Nan means south. So Nanjing, what we know in China, that's the southern capital. Beijing, northern capital. Chongqing was the eastern capital. Western capital. And then, anyways, not important. The important thing is that the idea that China itself is doing well and is eating our lunch and everything's fine and we're the wreck of the world, and that our problem is debt, and that the right wing is way ahead of us, and Biden's poll numbers are in the tank, even though it's Quinnipiac's the one outlier. Everything else, he's above Trump and rising. And again, I predict, and I will stand by this, will continue to do so as inflation tempers year over year, because everybody's using the year over year. These idiots keep wanting to use year over year, and anything compared to a situation where the entire country shut down is going to look enormous by comparison, right? Level ground looks like a height when you've been in a hole. That's how, it looks like a mountain peak from the bottom. Same thing. Right. Look how far I've come, even though I'm just at normal. The same thing is true in terms of the infrastructure bill. Once those projects start, get used to the idea. There's going to be a lot of working class folks in a lot of red states who went, you know what? I got a job. It's a solid one. I feel safe. This was a good idea. I'm glad they came together. Biden hasn't been crapping on the party in general. He's been pushing back against people who want to make, anybody who wants to make a one-party system. He's all right. I liked him to begin with. I've just been watching too many, Daily Wire videos and drinking that Kool-Aid, and therefore, right? But this illusion is that the Republicans have it all together, and they're good at messaging, and we're not. Remember that nonsense?
Yep.
They can do bumper stickers. Meanwhile, before we go to break, this is Fox News. Tucker Carlson blasts Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh as a, quote, cringing little liberal.
I bet that's the last thing he thought he would be labeled by Fox News.
Yes, that's how well it's going in the right wing right now. That's how that guy, that's right. Brett Kavanaugh is being called a cringing little liberal by Tucker Carlson. You're welcome. Enjoy. Get used to it. Like this is the illusion. I feel like that we've had this Drago idea of them, where there's this moment where Duke yells at Rocky, "See, he's not a man. He's not a machine. He's a man." Like anybody else. Like that's you got to wake up at some point and recognize humans all have the same problems.
Every week.
I try. I try to sneak it in. Father Carmine. All right. I just watched a documentary on Rocky Marciano. My God, that guy could hit. Oh my God! Like I knew of him and stuff.
On the real Rocky.
Well, he was 40. He was 43-0 was Rocky Marciano's record.
There's a guy that Sylvester Stallone based Rocky on. I forget what his name is. Well, Sylvester Stallone hung out with the dude. I've got to figure out who that was. I bet the chat already knows.
Yeah. Well, Marciano was kind of the namesake character. But
sure.
Anyways, we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Park Radio program, Mega Worldwide. I feel like we tipped into the happy ending a little bit with sort of Schadenfreude on their side, but I don't want to go completely there yet.
Cringing little liberal.
We'll be back. Yes, with cringing little liberal. Cringing little liberal. I didn't call him that. They did. That's hilarious.